Hey, Star Wars fans! Welcome back to another rousing event. Another Rule of the Galaxy podcast. It's Joe in the pilot seat. I got two of my right hand guys here. I've got Alfie Molinero, Ryan Massengale, and we're just gonna have some fun. They're waving to the camera right now, waving. Speaking of the camera, for those of you checking us out on YouTube, and I'll probably do a screenshot and put this out on Twitter. DDoc42 on Twitter. It is up. It is up beside me. The Rule of the Galaxy sign is live in studio, and it looks good. And I must not have screwed it up because it's been up for a few days now, so it hasn't fallen. So, but enough of that. You'll be able to see that lovely wall art behind me the whole show if you watch on YouTube. Uh, Follow us on YouTube and Facebook, Rule of the Galaxy. Follow us on Twitter at Rule the Galaxy SW and email us at rulethegalaxysw@gmail.com. Again, I've got Alfie, I've got Mass. I'll start alphabetical order. Alf, how you doing tonight? How's everything going?
Everything's going good. Glad to be here. Talk some Star Wars.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. We do it well.
Mass, you did some shopping this week, but other than that, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I went to GameStop and I saw the Force Unleashed Shadow Stormtrooper 6-inch Black Series, and I didn't want one, but I called all of you guys to see if anybody did, and Alfie took the bait, so it's sitting here beside me. So for the YouTube people, that's what that looks like. Oh, yeah. It's really cool looking, but so it's ready for you, Alfie.
It's a shame that it won't stay in the box very long. So going along with that, we were talking pre-show. We'll plan a Rule the Galaxy get together here in the next few weekends. We'll sit out by the pool. We'll make sure our wives and significant others all have a few beverages in them, and we'll pal around, and we'll probably swap all the characters that we've been picking up for different people at different times. Mass has now become part of the Cosa Nostra with us and is supplying some of us with things he finds. So, which is always good. I appreciate it. So it helps if you have a team looking for these action figures instead of just doing it on your own. So I think you picked me up a Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? That's coming sometime soon.
I did pre-order you one, yes, okay, from GameStop. I believe it's going to be here in August, but they will give me a call as soon as it comes in.
The amount of things I've got coming in July and August is just crazy. I've got a little bit of everything coming. So as they show up, I'll be making sure I hit you guys up and see what you want. But go ahead, Alfie.
Mass, what GameStop do you go to?
It's over by the Half Price bookstore. It's the one across the street from the mall.
Okay, the little one right by the pet store.
Yeah, by Johnny Carino's. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, they it's a little store, but they always have stuff in there. It's kind of freaky.
Well, Joey has told me he goes to a few different GameStops around Indianapolis, and he always tells me, he's like, Dad, I find the best things in GameStop. He's like, you go look in Target, you go look in Walmart, you go look in all the big box stores, and he said I always end up finding something at GameStop. So he's really, between you two, Joey's found me little things here or there that I couldn't find anywhere else through GameStop. Of course, unless it's a Walmart or Target exclusive, which usually stinks. But yeah, I'm glad we've got all of us hitting the town and knocking all this out. Speaking of 6-inch Black figures, though, Joey sent us all a text today. T-Bob, one of the guests on the show who we all love down in Louisiana, Joey just let him know about some Black series from the original trilogy, and I guess T-Bob has not been collecting recently, so he was not keeping an eye on these. But if I remember T-Bob, if I remember him and how much he spent on what was it, the X-Wing game and the Armada game, I have a feeling he's gonna creep into this, and it'll be his new Star Wars addiction. So, and once you start with the 6-inch Black series, it's kind of hard to go back to the other series. So, T-Bob, we wish you well. We hope you don't spend too much money on that. we've got a few topics to talk about this week. First of all, episode 88. We're on the countdown now. We're almost to 100. 12 shows to 100. It's hard for me to imagine that, but we've definitely got to start planning, figuring that out. 12 weeks from now, so it's around 3 months from now, into July, end of August, end of September. Yeah, so we probably need to plan some kind of an event or trip or get together for that to celebrate the 100th. And Tony, my brother, is doing some research on us so we can start doing some live shows together at the same place, so where we don't all have to carry our laptops and do all that. So hopefully we'll have some updated news on that. So, but while we're starting in here, Alfie brought it up, and you know what? We'll just start the show with this. Boba Fett's ship, for a long time, has been known as Slave One. They're changing the name. It's been a real big buzz on Twitter. I've seen that. And I get it. We went away from Slave Leia to, I think, Prisoner Leia. Is that
Hut
correct?
Slayer.
Hut
Isn't it?
Slayer Leia?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure that probably offends some Huts somewhere.
Somewhere.
Or maybe fans of Slayer. I don't know. Slave One. Look, I'll let you guys go around and say, but first of all, I'll say this. It's Boba Fett's ship. It's a cool ship. I don't look, if we're gonna start changing everything, fine. But it doesn't bother me one way or the other. It's a cool ship. It has the seismic charges that we all love. I'm saying, you know what? Things change. If it changes, it changes. That's my vote on it. Alfie, Mass, what are your thoughts on Slave One and Boba Fett?
I'm with you. It doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, yeah, I've been liking a lot of stuff on Twitter because I kind of enjoy that a little bit. But if they want to change the name, they want to change the name. But I don't really know if it. I'm going to hold out a little bit until find out, is it all through Disney or is it just this Lego set? Because Legos do have a tendency to have generic names for their sets.
Okay.
The Razor Crest is the Mandalorian transport. The Marauder, or is it the Marauder? Is the Bad Batch ship or Bad Batch shuttle, I think.
Okay. Hey, I'm perfectly okay with it. Times change, like I said. If that's a word that sets people off, I agree, Alfie. I know you've been liking things just to see people kind of get up in arms and get losing their minds and stuff.
I like the passion. I'm not I'm not pouring gasoline on the fire or anything. I like some people who are very passionate about things. As long as you're not negative or toxic, I think that's a good thing. Be passionate either way you want to go.
There we go. Mass, thoughts on Boba Fett? I mean, we can obviously still call it Slave One, but does it need to be called Slave One?
I think everybody knows it's Slave One. Basically Legos are for kids. So, if you want to change that, that's fine. As long as they don't change the name of it in the movie, it doesn't really bother me at all. If they start going back and changing stuff from, how the movies came out, then I would probably have an issue. But kids' toys, no.
Yeah, you know what, Mass? That brings up an interesting thing, and it just popped into my head. So I apologize for going on a different tangent, but you're right. In Phantom Menace, Anakin and Shmi are known as slaves, right?
Right.
And so you're right. I mean, if they went in and redubbed something and took out the word slaves in there, I mean, we get it. Slavery is, none of us are pro-slavery. We'll just put that out there as a show standard. We are not pro-slavery, but for the show and the story, it makes sense. But I wouldn't want them to change that, really. I wouldn't want them to redub it or anything. But naming the ship and all that, it doesn't bother me at all. So,
I mean, everybody knows it's Boba Fett's ship, and got people like us that watch it, thousands of times. I mean, we all know what it's called.
How many ships besides the Falcon are actually named in the 11 movies? Home One, I can think of.
2.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are like Red 5, right? I mean, it's not like they're.
That's their call sign, not their ship's name.
True.
I can't think of many ships that they actually call out by name.
Naboo Star
Any
Cruiser.
11
right?
movies.
I mean, yeah. So I agree. I mean, there's not much.
Wasn't
to
that
it.
the Mary Celeste? Wasn't that the name of that ship?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
And how do you? Okay, the blockade runner at the beginning of Star Wars, the Bail Organa ship,
The
the Leia
Tantive
ship,
4?
Tantive 4. That's what you call it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do you call it Mass Tantive 4 or Tantive V4? I hear a lot of people adding the Tantive, like Tantive V4, or are you Tantive 4? Or you just call it a blockade runner?
Well, I was reading a post by somebody making the argument that it's the slave I and not the slave one.
Slave
Because it's
eye.
a Roman numeral.
Oh,
Like,
gosh.
wow, you've thought way too hard on this.
Well, speaking of thinking way too hard on it, look, guys, I think we all agree it's fine. The people getting upset, I get it. You're passionate about things, but things are gonna change in your life. Things change every day, so just roll with it. It's Star Wars. We
Yeah,
shouldn't be having conniption fits.
See it more of an issue with Disney than I do with Star Wars. I think more just what they're trying to present, but then the things that they do that kind of go against or backwards from renaming something like this.
So I will say this, another side tangent today. I worked from home today. I had some things to take care of, so I did my work from home. And believe me, you would think working from home, and I did it for 14 years. You're like, oh, got a little free time, right? I got a little. Nah, I was busy the whole day. But my daughter wasn't feeling good, and so after she got done with work, she came home, and in the room over, I heard put on a show, and it's American Horror Story, which I've never watched just because I don't know, it never sounded appealing to me. But I checked on her because she wasn't feeling good, and I looked on screen, and Billy Lord was a main character of American Horror Story, and I said, "That's Billy Lord," and she goes, "How did you know that?" And I said, "Well, that's Carrie Fisher's daughter. She's in Star Wars." She was like, "I love Billy Lord. She's in Star Wars?" I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
So I had to show her real quick on my phone, like, "Look here, boom, boom, boom. These 3 movies. She's in these 3 movies." She was like, "What? I didn't even know." So I thought that was pretty cool to see that me and my 19-year-old had a quick conversation on a Star Wars topic today that we both have something in common, that we both appreciate Billy Lord and think highly of her. And I just thought it was different, but I have a feeling it's going to get me a chance to have her watch the sequel trilogy with me now for her to see Billy Lord in those movies. So
Yeah, that's just a little opening you need.
that is, you're exactly right. So Mass, I don't know if you're watching the Cubs game. They just tied it up. So just letting you know.
I'm actually got the College World Series in the background.
Patrick Wisdom just knocked in by us, so 1-1 versus the evil Brewers. So a couple other topics. Ming-Na Wen. She did an interview recently, or some interviews recently, talking about her role now in the Bad Batch. And Mark Newbold on Fantha Tracks did a great interview with her. He got a chance to do that, and honestly, his interview with her made her an even better character and made me like her and her character even more just from the interview. So he did a great job. But one of the things she said, and I don't know if have either one of you listened to those interviews or not?
No,
I've just read highlights of it.
Yeah, so it was a really good interview. She went as much detail as she could without getting herself in trouble, which is awesome when it comes to Star Wars and Disney. But she said one of the things she really would hope to be someday, or her aspiration to be a Jedi with an orange lightsaber. That's one of her goals in life. So she thought that was pretty cool. She's really excited that they're making action figures of her character. So that's really cool. Yep. So those we don't have any idea when. I'm sure we'll see it being released on it, but she said they're making action figures. She's really excited about that. She was a big Star Wars fan growing up. So to her, this is a really big deal now to be in live action and to be in animated. She was supposed to die. She was supposed to die in The Mandalorian when she got shot by what was that bad bounty hunter's name, Alfie? the guy who shot her, who nobody liked him and his character.
Yeah. What was his name? Man, that's gonna bother me now. I gotta look it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Toro was so she was supposed to die, but her and Dave Filoni kind of hit it off. They became friends. And some of the reasons is they come from the same area, Pittsburgh, and they actually went to the same high school. Now at different times, but so they really became buddies and pals talking about that. And she said she actually used that to her advantage to kind of push, like, yeah, you don't want to kill off somebody who, grew up where you grew up, went to the same high school. But I thought that was really cool. And she said that the Mandalorian crew just bonded so well that when this opportunity came up to keep her alive and then to bring her into the Bad Batch, she was so excited about it. But man, listening to her interview, it makes me like her even more. I already liked her as an actress and the character she was playing, but I think if you guys get a chance to check it out on his podcast, Fantha Tracks, you should go check it out because she's really cool and explains a lot of stuff. So any thoughts on Ming-Na Wen and her character Fennec Shan, anything like that at all?
I think she's an awesome character. I can't wait to see more of her in the Book of Boba Fett.
Agreed.
She has aged really well. Seriously, I mean, when I looked and saw how old she was, I was like, wow, because she does not look it.
No, she does not. But she's a really, from her interview, and I know some interviews are, you got to be fake or put on a show. She sounded really sincere, and man, just made me even more of a fan of her. So I think for Mark Newbold and his podcast, that was really great, and she did a really great job. So looking forward to seeing where that goes. And you never know, Finn held a lightsaber in the sequel trilogy. Maybe one time she'll pick up what's his name from Jedi Fallen Order. He's got an orange lightsaber, doesn't he?
Yep, Cal Kestis does.
Cal Kestis, yeah. So hey, stranger things have happened. She was just on the planet, or they were just on the planet Cal Kestis was on. So
there you go.
So another topic that I saw, the new High Republic book came out today. Azalea has joined the show.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay, as long as she's talking Star Wars in the background. So The Rising Storm by Cavan Scott. I think this starts phase 2, right, Alfie? Like the whole second phase or wave of books?
Yeah, it's like a new phase.
Okay. So I will probably be getting the audiobook of that. And our good friend Marc Thompson is the narrator on the audiobook. So looking forward to checking that one out. Mass, I will keep you updated to see if you should join in to the High Republic.
Okay.
And I feel like it'd be really good. It'd be a good idea to create like a first phase encyclopedia. They just went through the first wave.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
To where you can go through, see the pictures, read the names, do all that kind of stuff. It would help a guy like Mass completely, so he could then jump in and go, okay, I already know a little bit about these people. Some more books were released.
Adam Bray.
There you go, Adam Bray. Oof. You're listening, I'm sure.
Worlds colliding.
Talk to Disney, talk to Star Wars. You want to make that for wave 1 or phase 1 High Republic encyclopedia for us, so Mass and the rest of us can pay attention. Disney and Lucasfilm have decided to re-release some EU books, and so some more are coming out. Obviously, Heir to the Empire had come out, and a few others, but they're releasing the rest of the original Thrawn trilogy, re-releasing those, some of the Bane trilogy, and then some Rogue Squadron books. So,
does this mean they're canon?
Well, it's not saying they're canon, but I'm having a feeling, and that's where I was going to go with this, was why re-release these? Yes, you're going to make money from them, and that's cool. But why re-release some of these if you weren't going to start dragging some of that into canon?
Right.
Talon Card, Mara Jade, Paleon, Darth Bane, Darth Xana. All of those could be drawn into canon, And with the new movie coming out, isn't the new movie going to be called Rogue Squadron?
Yeah.
Is she singing the Darth Vader Imperial March?
She knew you were listening to her, so she stopped.
Okay. Well,
It's all day, man. All day.
That's okay. That's all right. But that's my theory. Why pick these books at this time? Yes, to make money, but they've got to be drawing some things out of there. Those are going to be some things that are going to have some connectivity in the future. Thoughts on those books being released? Anything like that at all?
I want to read them again, and I hope some more of those storylines come back. I think we already saw it in season 2. Well, in the Rise of Skywalker, a lot of EU stories getting, little snippets picked here and there to expand on.
Agreed. This was kind of off topic, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. Isaac Asimov. I think a lot of people would say he's like the king of science fiction writing of all time, right? Like he was the preeminent person who wrote science fiction. I was reading an article that said that Apple TV has got a new storyline coming out called The Foundation, which was his story, but it's very similar to Star Wars. Have you guys heard of this or seen anything about this, that it's going to be coming to Apple TV?
No, but now I'm interested.
Yeah, so go check that out. I think these books were written in the 40s and the 50s by Asimov, and they're saying there's a lot of similar story beats and a lot of things similar to world building like in Star Wars, but it's called Foundation. So I know it's not a Star Wars topic, but I thought it was close enough, and I thought I'm gonna, just like I went and checked out Jupiter's Legacy because Matt Lanter was in it. I think I'm gonna have to go check this out if it's gonna have maybe some touch points like Star Wars in it. So, by the way, Mass, I know you finished Jupiter's Legacy. I finished it. Alfie, did you finish Jupiter's Legacy? No. Okay.
No, I did not.
We'll save that. We'll save that for another time because I'd like to hear all three of us discuss it because I know we both really enjoyed it. So, before we get to Bad Batch, which is the main thing of what we're going to talk about tonight, I wanted to bring up an idea, and I put it to you guys on a text today. How difficult we've discussed Star Wars Celebration, and we'd all love to go to Star Wars Celebration, especially next year, but making the haul out to Cali, and obviously right now I don't even think there's tickets to it. How hard would it be to throw a regional, I guess a regional offshoot Star Wars Celebration during Celebration, to where you could watch everything that's going on online, bring some people in, comic book stores, toy stores, maybe some people here in the Midwest that couldn't make it out there, that kind of stuff. Maybe some local podcasters anywhere from Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. How difficult do you think that would be? Because you know what, guys, I can't get out to Cali, but I think we could pull something like that off. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the comic book stores and the toy stores would be, I think they'd be more than interested in doing that. I mean, if you could get a regional celebration and all those Star Wars fans in one place, I think that would hit, man.
I think so.
And do you think in Disney and Lucasfilm, if you're listening, go ahead and rulethegalaxysw@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out. Do you think if we put something like that together and then had the celebration streaming on a screen somewhere, because you can do that, I think they stream it now, pretty much everything. Do you think it would be anything to where they would say, hey, you got to pay us rights or anything like that? I mean, I'm sure there's something, but if we're not selling it, if we're just showing it, we're not selling tickets for it or anything like that. Do you think that's something that that we could pull off? Anybody who's listening, again, rulethegalaxysw@gmail.com. Give us your legal thoughts and opinions on this if you're in the Midwest, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, those kind of areas. We'd love to hear from you. One, if you think it would work. Two, what kind of legalities would come in. And I thought, you know what? You could have people come to Indy during race weekend. You could run it on Friday and Saturday, and then anybody who didn't want to come, maybe it's the first time they've ever gone to a race, they could buy tickets for the 500 and go Sunday to the 500. I'm just banging this out there. I'm just throwing it out there. So
I'm loving it, man. I think this is a great idea.
I
hey,
agree.
I'm not trying to make money, folks. I'm just trying to get some Star Wars love going on here. So
What if we did it at the race, like in the like in the infield, dude?
You know, it might be a little hard to hear from time to time. But I like where you're going with that, Mass. I'm sure there's some local school or convention center that would be more than happy to have us bring these people in and have them fill their building. So that is going to be a path for all of us at Rule the Galaxy to work on. And again, any of our listeners with thoughts and ideas, feel free to send them our way, because we could use all the expertise we can get. And I don't want to break any laws. So I'm probably going to reach out to Star Wars Celebration and say, none of us can make it there. So since we can't make it there, do you mind if we do this? And see what they say, because they're sold out already. So I don't know if it can really hurt them. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth. That's my idea for the week before we get on to the Bad Batch. I feel like the podcast is all on board. I know the responses we got on our text messages were all positive. So let's see where this goes.
Yeah. One point before we go on to Bad Batch, because I was thinking you mentioned this idea today. So on the way home, I drive by Strange Brew. They might be someone we talk to.
Strange Brew's already said we could do a live show there.
Yeah.
So once we get the technical side of it put together, we're definitely going to do that. And what a better thing than to promote Strange Brew and have their coffee and muffins and everything else.
Or that brewery there in Greenwood, the science fiction one.
Yep. So see, there's sponsors and companies who probably would want to be involved if we threw something like this together. Now it's just putting the brain trust together to make it work by next Memorial Day. So we'll work on that. We'll see what we can put together. So fans in the Midwest, if you're interested, let us know. Drop us a line. If you think of companies or stores that might be interested as well, send them our way, and we'll definitely chat and see if we can put this together. So that was the idea of the day. I don't know. We might be breaking 100 laws, and we might be getting calls from Kathleen Kennedy pretty soon. But you know what? It doesn't hurt. We're just trying to build the Star Wars community. So maybe we can get Adam Bray to come down from Michigan and hang with us. So
It'd be nice.
That would be fun. So all right. Again, there weren't a ton of big things going on in Star Wars this week, but there are always, every week there's a Bad Batch. And this week we've got Bad Batch number 9, Bounty Lost. And last we left the Bad Batch, they were separated from Omega. Hunter had been shot by Cad Bane, and everybody was thinking that Crosshair was turning into Dengar, which he is not, as far as I know, but maybe somebody will surprise me. This one came out like gangbusters. They're getting chased by Crosshair to start. It's happening immediately after. It's almost like The Last Jedi after Force Awakens. Happened immediately. Nobody threw his lightsaber over his shoulder, though, in this episode. What were you guys' initial thoughts? What do you guys think about the show? And what's some things that caught your eye? Bad Batch number 9, Bounty Lost. Mass, Alfie, go ahead.
Go ahead, Alfie.
I thought it was a really good episode. I thought, again, we're really starting to get into more of the kind of series I thought it would be, even though the Bad Batch really wasn't in this one too much. But away from that, you help me, I help you, that they seem stuck in for the first 4 or 5 episodes after the opener. A lot of really interesting things happened in this one. And some more history about who Omega is and where she come from, who she's connected to, why they want her back. I did find it kind of interesting that if you go back and remember the first episode, you said she was an enhanced clone, 1 of 5, but then Tech in this episode said she was a pure genetic replica of Jango Fett. So is she how can she be enhanced if she's a pure, I don't know. I'm sure they'll explain it, or it's just me thinking too much about things and picking up on, a little play on words or something. But then again, it could become important.
Yeah.
And did you see the plate on Cad Bane's head?
Yes.
I saw it this time.
Yes. Did see it this time. So Alfie, I agree with you. I think hearing that Tech coming out and saying he's analyzed her DNA, she's, there's one other one like her, that's Alpha, who becomes Boba Fett, and her as Omega. I think that was really cool. I think it does go back. I mean, we kept thinking, what's this special thing that she has about her that makes her be able to do certain things, just like pick up the gun and shoot Crosshair. First time she's ever picked up a gun. Well, if you're the exact clone DNA of Jango Fett, you're probably going to have good skills and marksmanship, right? To be able to do that. So that is tying up some loose ends from back there before. But I think it's a great storyline, and I think it's one that we all want, is Omega being the sister of Boba Fett. And this is where I keep saying I think we're going to see Boba Fett. I hope it's Daniel Logan doing the voice like he did in Attack of the Clones and in Clone Wars, because I think he's lost his dad. He has no family. Finding out that he has a sister and wanting to reconnect with her, I think that could be a huge storyline. It'd be very cool. So I was really excited about the way they went, and I'm glad they didn't say she was Force sensitive, and I'm glad they didn't say she was a clone of Palpatine. Those are two things that I was nervous about. So this kind of extinguished that fire.
They haven't said it yet.
Alfie?
So do you think that because she knows, she's going to go find him?
That's a good question.
Or maybe find him later in the future.
Right.
Maybe say like 30 years later in the future.
But he might not know that. Because, I mean, she just found out, right?
Yeah, I don't think he would know.
Right.
Hey, would
she'd
you guys,
have to initiate.
Yeah. Would you guys say that you're of the opinion that Jango Fett didn't know that they created this second clone of him? This whatever.
No, he wouldn't have known.
Right. And so
this
Boba wouldn't have known.
It looks like nobody knew except the Kaminoan.
Because does this imply that her and Boba are the same age? Because I would think from the Clone Wars itself that seeing Boba in the episodes that he was already older than her.
I feel like he's older than her as well. I don't know. I don't think any of us know this for sure, but I feel like Boba is older than her and that she is obviously younger. And I think they started looking, saying the stuff we have from Jango is deteriorating. Let's make this purely pure genetic one of him and make that happen, because you never know when you're going to need it. They need to keep their armory full and their options open, basically. So I don't think they're the same age. Go, Alf.
I think it could be really interesting if you think back to that episode of the Clone Wars where Boba Fett posed as cadet and was really struggling with betraying them, because he kept saying, we're all brothers.
Yeah, you're right.
He was really struggling with completing his mission.
Yeah, because Aura Singh kept pushing him, pushing his buttons. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I like that. So a couple side items before we get more into that. I love. Is this the first time we've seen Cad Bane's ship? Usually he's borrowing a ship or not in that ship. I don't remember seeing his ship.
What was the name of the ship? Does anybody?
I don't remember. And then so I like the ship. I like the music now. I like they're doing the little Western, vibe when he walks in. I think that's really cool. I like that they brought back Toto, Seth Green as Toto. I think that's really really a cool thing to keep him back. And then looking at it, when it comes to Cad Bane, when it comes to Cad Bane and Fennec Shan, it looks like we can all agree that Lama Su is the one who hired Cad Bane, while Fennec Shan is the one who hired Cad Bane. Is that correct?
That's correct.
While Cad Bane and Fennec Shan, it looks like we can all agree that Lama Su is the one who hired Cad Bane, while Nala Se was the one who went with Fennec Shan.
Yeah.
Correct. And when she saw that he was going to get Bane in there, her next thing was to go get Fennec Shan to go back and know where she was going, which that planet was called, or was it a city? Borovio, I think. Borovio was it? It wasn't on Camino, was it? Or was it on a different planet?
I don't think it was, but I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I didn't
What
see
was
any
that?
water. Borovio, that's a different planet, correct?
Yeah.
It's not just
Different planet.
okay. So I like that we get to see Ton Wee brought back in, and I've heard so many people, and I'm seeing so many memes or whatever. Dad, Ton Wee's dead. Like he said, Dad, Ton Wee's here. In Attack of the Clones, but I like to see that she was back involved again, and it really feels like that Nala Se has a definite kind of a motherly feel
Yes.
to Omega. So, you heard Lama Su say, "Hey, find her, get her. Once we extract what we need, exterminate her, terminate her." And Nala Se is just not going for that. That's not the plan at all. So, it sounds like there's some big discourse going on there, which adds to the story. We know about the Empire. We know about the rebellion. We know about the Bad Batch. We know about bounty hunters. But to see that there's this discourse going on between the Kaminoans, I think that's going to play later into the story as well. You're going to have some major things going on if they can't even see eye to eye on this project.
Especially with what Fennec said about his plans being much worse than what she could imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And his ship in this episode was the Justifier.
Okay.
In Clone Wars, it was the Xanadu Blood. I only know that because it's on my Star Wars game.
Xanadu Blood.
Yeah.
Okay. Olivia Newton-John was in that ship, I think.
Yeah.
So let's go to, one, I thought the Fennec and Cad Bane action was great. For an animated series to have that kind of fighting going on and that kind of action, well done. I think you guys would agree with me. There are times when you forget that this is an animated series, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Some of it just looks so good and solid that it's just crazy to think that this is animated and just so well done. So that I love the Cad Bane and Fennec Shan battle. I thought it was great where you finally got to see him use the boosters on his boots.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of people who were saying, "Oh, Fennec Shan, she can't hold her own to him." He even said it, but she's still around at the Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian. She's got to have some good talents and skills to her to make that happen. So,
not to take anything away from her, because I thought it was awesome, but he looked to me different than the Cad Bane that went one-on-one against Obi-Wan with the lightsabers.
100% agreed.
Which, with the plate on his head, probably lost a step or two.
So he's a little bit older. He's been damaged. Do we feel the Boba Fett activity already happened, or do we feel that's still to come, or both?
Both.
Okay.
I think there's still some more to come, but I hope there's been some before.
Yeah, I think this is just my opinion here. I think this is Filoni teasing us a little bit. He knows we've seen that unfinished arc.
Mm-hmm.
He knows everybody is expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, I got something a little better planned this time. I'm going to give you some hints that, that already happened because something much better is going to happen for what I have planned between Boba and Cad Bane.
So this weekend, Brent was at a Star Wars Legion event that he put together. It was at the Game Preserve in Greenwood on the south side of Indianapolis. There weren't a lot of people there, but it was really cool. I got to talk to them, some guys who were into X-Wing, Armada, and Star Wars Legion. They were playing. Plus, the store, guys, don't go in there because you think you like buying action figures. They have those miniatures of every ship and every character. Yeah. No, don't go in there. Too expensive. And there's some stuff that would be like, damn, I could do an entire bookshelf of just those miniatures, and they would look
Mhm.
sweet. So just warning you, we can play the game at Brent's house. Don't go into the store. Sorry, Game Preserve. Other people go in there. You should do it, but our group, we got to watch our money. Um, but while in there, Brent was telling me that somebody he saw did a frame by frame of the animatics of the fight between Boba Fett and Cad Bane, and it was almost play by play the fight between Cad Bane and Hunter.
Mhm.
Where they, I mean, so he was like, so I feel like there's some similarities to there. And then, so that was one thing. And then I told him my theory, and you guys can tell me if I'm way wrong on this. But when Bad Batch first started, I said Boba Fett's going to come back in with Cad Bane. I just felt like that unfinished arc was going to play in this, and so I'm fine if it already has. But my theory is exactly like what Mass said. Somehow, some way, before we either get to the end of the first season or the second season, Cad Bane's trying to get that money for the bounty. He's got Omega again. Boba Fett realizes he has a sister. Okay. They are battling toe to toe with her there. Okay. And so I brought this up earlier. What if we go different in Star Wars this time than we have in the past? Because we don't have Omega in future things right now. She's right now in Bad Batch. She wasn't in Rogue One. She wasn't in the original trilogy. Okay. She wasn't in Rebels. So we don't see any proof of her after Bad Batch. So I threw out a week or two ago, what if young Miss Omega passes away at the end of Bad Batch? What if that's the tearjerker? What if that's this thing while that battle's going on, right, Alfie? Of
Mhm.
clones versus stormtroopers. But what if it happens this way? What if she's in between those two and they're doing a standoff? And Bane, because he's old and cocky and thinks that he's better than Boba Fett wants to protect his sister. Cad Bane wants to protect his bounty. And he basically says, if I can't collect the bounty on her, nobody can. And Boba goes to shoot him, and he goes to shoot Omega. And that's how it ends. And that's how Boba takes him out at the same time as he takes out Omega. Am I way off base, or would that be a really, really bad show? Or does it sound like an interesting way to go with this?
I like it.
It'd be really interesting. I'd be pissed off if you were right because I didn't think of it. But that would be awesome to see. Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Well, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it's
I think she'll show up in live action.
You do? I'm
Yeah.
all for it. I just threw out that theory, but I'm all for it. I was talking to Brent the other day, and I was like, okay, Alpha changed his name, or his name was changed to Boba. Already we've had name changes going on. Alpha becomes Boba. Yeah, Baby Yoda becomes Grogu. Different things happen to change it. Now we've got Omega. Is the name gonna change, right?
Oh yeah.
We have what was it? T whatever becomes Finn. I mean, there's name changes going on in the new era of Star Wars. Caleb Doom becomes Kanan Jarrus. So could Omega become a different name? Brent, just for your guys' love at the game shop, Brent said, I'm going to throw you a curveball and I'm going to make Mass and Alfie happy. What if Omega has to disguise herself, and as she gets older, changes her name, gets her hair red, and becomes Mara Jade?
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't think it's going to happen, but Brent thought it'd be funny to see your guys' reaction to that.
I think Filoni is really good at this.
He is
taking his characters and putting them in a situation where they can be gone for an endless amount of time and then come back at any time and restart their story. He did it with Ezra. He did it with Thrawn. They've now done it with Grogu, and they can just be sitting somewhere. We don't necessarily need to know what they're doing at this point, but at some point he can bring them back at any time and have a really good story, and then a good story about where they were, what they were doing, and it makes sense. So I would kind of see her becoming a bounty hunter myself.
Really?
And yeah, you've given your end. I'll give my end.
I know, I like it.
Cad Bane kills Hunter, probably the last of the Bad Batch.
Oh,
She gets away. She's still young. I mean, what is she, like 10?
yeah.
Gets away in the shuttle. Spends her life, learning to become just like her brothers. Comes back, spends the rest of her life trying to hunt down Cad Bane, which would be a nice little segue right into the Book of Boba Fett.
Alfie, I like that idea a lot. It's so interesting though, taking this little innocent girl
Mm-hmm.
and flipping her like that.
Because the thing is, we all made the connections whether we like to admit it or not to the Rise of Skywalker instantly, right? So none of us want her to go to Exegol. None of us want her to have any connection to Palpatine
or Snoke.
Or Snoke. So
Yeah.
I think that the show's done a pretty good job of leaving some breadcrumbs to say, hey, this is a possibility. Maybe this is where, like with the tubes, the vats in this episode, hey, this is where this project could have started. We're not necessarily saying that, but here's, our site B, from Jurassic Park, where we did some perfecting before we went to, actual Kamino. Because you don't want the Empire scene, or at the time,
the Republic,
Sifo Dyas seeing that and saying, well, looks like you guys suck at this. So,
well, Alfie, you
just like with Mando, just not really saying that this is Snoke or whatever, but enough for you to say, hey, I kind of see where this is going and where it's leading. We don't necessarily have to go there,
right?
But we're just filling in some little gaps.
So before we get deep into the pickle jars, because that was one of the topics I wanted to hit, Mass, any thoughts that we're missing of things that stood out to you from this episode or from some of the talking points we've had so far?
Well, the things that stood out to me, we've kind of already talked about, was when, Ming-Na Wen was talking back and she was like, just as long as there was somebody else, leave them there. As long as she's safe, leave her alone. So that to me, there is going to be a big confrontation going down somewhere in this between the Kaminoans and the clones and the new troopers, and something bad's coming.
I would 100% agree. Alfie's theory from the beginning was, from after the first or second episode, was they're going to figure out a way to have the new troopers, maybe with Vader, show up and destroy the clones. And so that'll be interesting. I 100% agree. Before we get to the pickle jars, are we going to see, do you think, since we've had Rex in there, and I think we talked about it briefly before, do you think we'll see Gregor or Wolf during the Bad Batch?
I'd love to see him. I'm kind of hoping we see Wolf, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Okay.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I want to see Cody too. I don't, Cody always seems to play second fiddle to Rex, but I like him just the same. He was Kenobi's clone.
I love Cody, and yeah, I hope we see him. And I'm wondering, are they holding off on Cody for him to show up during the Kenobi series? I don't know.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, that would be a freaking. Yeah, that'd be nice.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this Kenobi series. I'm just going to say it. This might just be too much.
It might tear open some wounds, right? I mean, it might. Alfie, you hit it. Somebody put this week on Twitter, somebody put stuff about scenes that just tear you up from Star Wars. And so I just started randomly grabbing them, throwing them up there, and then Alfie throws out the Obi-Wan, you were my brother. I loved you. And just thinking about that scene. And to think that Cody had just tried to kill him. He just put his friend into the lava. That scene's just so emotional, but
And
Yeah.
he's admitting that he has the same faults that Anakin has.
Yep. He had attachment. He had love for the person, right? Yeah. Just you're right, man. If they bring anything, if there's some touchy moments with Anakin, there's some touchy moments with Satine, Qui-Gon, Cody. I mean, yeah, we might have to have Kleenexes next to us while we're watching that series.
Just hear me out. If they were to do, with the volume, a look back into the past of that unfinished Clone Wars scene between Anakin and I mean, it's a perfect setup because they're sitting around a fire in the episode. And that's, that's Obi-Wan in the desert right there. With, sitting across the fire from a memory of Anakin having that conversation. Forget about it. The internet's going to, catch on fire that night.
100%. And I'm perfectly okay with flashbacks in that series. Somebody said they want to see Anakin, Ahsoka, and Ben or Obi-Wan all in a battle scene or something like that, rehashing something of the Clone Wars. I mean, just some crazy stuff. But sorry, I took us down that angle. I agree. Commander Cody Mass, I'm all for it. Let's see him. Let's go to the pickle jars. We've seen pickle jars in Rise of Skywalker with pickled Snoke. We've seen pickle jars in Mandalorian with blurred out creatures that we really couldn't see unless Alfie saw something that I couldn't see.
No.
But they were talking about getting the M count stuff from Grogu to help put those things and make them, I guess a Jedi or Force sensitive or whatever. That all got destroyed. We now are on Boravia, where the Kaminoans are involved, and there's pickle jars. And I could have sworn we saw a few different aliens in here, but the one that came out, that was a Kaminoan, correct? Was that a Kaminoan?
That's what the
fell out?
subtitle said.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The first one it shows looks like a Celestin.
Yes, with the jaws. Yeah,
and the subtitle said man.
Okay, so they're trying this out, and I can't remember in Plagueis. Alfie, refresh my memory. And Mass, if you haven't read Plagueis, even though it's not canon anymore, you should. It's a great book. Was the story that Kaminoans didn't think it would work well on humans or would work better on humans?
I thought it was that it would work well.
Because they'd used, as much as we think cloning is just for the clone army, they had used this to make slaves and workers for other societies, not armies, but people to work in mines and people to do manual labor and all that, but they were different creatures. They weren't always humans.
And Plagueis was the one that had the idea of the Force sensitive clones, right? Isn't that what he wanted?
I know he wanted to use humans. He or his boss wanted to use humans because he felt like they'd be easily controlled. But I can't remember if it was Force sensitive or not. Because Plagueis, Plagueis's boss, Darth, what's his name, Alfie?
I'm drawing a blank.
Me too. Anyway, Plagueis's master, he had another Sith put into a pickle jar, and he was reading all kinds of readings from him, trying to see if he could make himself immortal, if I'm not mistaken. So they came up with that plan. But looking at this so far, we've seen Snoke in there, 2 aliens in this one. I'm guessing an alien on the Mandalorian. Not any humans that I've seen in any of these pickle jars. When I saw that Kaminoan fall out, it made me feel like Snoke was like a hybrid between a Kaminoan and some other creature, whether it's human or not. But that's the way I look at it. That's where he came from. Any thoughts from you two on that?
I thought the Kaminoan, however I cannot say that word for the life of me.
It's Kaminoan or Kaminoan. Yeah,
Kaminoan was, another tongue-in-cheek, hey, you're going to think this is Snoke. I specifically put this in here for you to think that. It's not, but I know that you know that I know, kind of thing. So that's where I think it's going. But then again, like I said earlier, you don't know how many of these facilities they had and how long it took them to perfect the art of cloning. And why did they just leave it there? Why didn't they blow it up? Or, did they have plans to come back? Was there something important there? Who knows?
Well,
Alfie,
And do they have other sites like this?
you sent out a text to the group after watching this, and you said basically like, "Dang it, they're going to do everything they can to try to make the sequels better."
Right.
Between all these shows they're doing, the animated and the live action, they're going to feed it to where we're picking up those missing points that we had.
Right. Just like he did with the prequels. Mass, what was the one thing you said you didn't like about Revenge of the Sith? That you wished you saw more of Anakin's turn to the dark side. What did Filoni do for like season 4 through 7? He said, that's what you want? I'm going to show you that, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I believe that's where it's going too. And, thank God.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not anything direct. He's not, there's no big flashing arrow saying, here, this is Snoke or anything. It's just looks enough that you can put the pieces together. It's not important to the story with the Bad Batch, but it's like, a lot of aha moments. Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a coincidence that Omega has like the same exact hairstyle as Palpatine did in the Clone Wars? No, because he knew as soon as you saw her, you're going to make that connection, and the theories are going to start, and there's going to be 10,000 YouTube videos explaining, the history behind Omega and the road to the rise of Skywalker. I mean,
I'll
he
be
knows that we think this way because he thinks
100% happy that the animated series from here on out and the live actions, that's their job. Because again, like you mentioned, the Clone Wars made the prequels better. They made them, if you watch Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and then watch the Clone Wars, and then watch Revenge of the Sith, dude, now you're like, okay, this all makes sense, and this is really, really good.
Yeah.
You know what? Rebels made, I'm going to say it, I think they added little touches that make the beginning of A New Hope better, because those rebel cells are out there, and these things are going on, and this is coming together. It almost led into Rogue One, really. You got all these cells coming together to lead to Rogue One, which what do you see? You see all the cells come together and have a battle, and they're meeting and all that stuff. So there's ways to keep doing this. And yeah, are the people who just watch 1 through 11 going to say, okay, there's pieces missing? Yeah, and that's okay. That's fine. But for the people like us who are crazy enough to buy all their products and do a podcast on Star Wars, we're going to want to see all those things leading up to it. So, which I'm okay with. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Anything else from this episode or any other topics that you guys think we need to hit, or that we can discuss, that just on your mind, or you feel like, Joe, you've talked way too much, I want to throw something out there? Go right ahead. Hit me with it.
Okay, I got one. After watching this episode and how amazing it was, it still hits me every episode that as good as everything is, we still really haven't seen the whole, what Crosshairs has been in 2 episodes, maybe 3.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some big confrontation at the end. You would think it's got to lead somewhere.
Yeah.
The big buildup with the Empire in the first, double episode, and there's been nothing since.
So we still haven't gotten confirmation there's a second season. Are we thinking that in the next 5 to 7 episodes they're going to tie this all up with a nice little ribbon and be done with it? Or do we think that there's actually more out there that they're going to say we can't finish it all right now, and there's bigger stories for the future?
I don't see why there can't be more stories.
I don't see why they couldn't finish it up either. It just kind of depends on where they're going to go.
And does it have to lead into another season of Bad Batch?
No, you're right. It can lead into a whole nother series.
Because honestly, every time I watch an episode now, it comes back to me where he says to him, we're soldiers. What else are we going to do? So, join the rebellion. is what I'm thinking. And I love this. So it could go anywhere. It could go
Agreed.
to any storyline and start anew. I mean, it's really smart the way they did it.
Yeah, I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
Well,
Yeah.
and from what everybody had said, there were at least a couple more seasons worth of animatics and storylines for the Clone Wars that they're like, we can't keep stretching the Clone Wars out because it's only a 3-year time frame. If we do 12 seasons of the Clone Wars, how do we fit all that into that compacted area right there? So the smart part about it was, let's keep the storyline going, but let's go ahead and make it after Order 66, and we can still follow some of the same storylines, like Cad Bane coming back in, like different things related to clones and things like that. So I really, you're right. I mean, they've done some really smart things here, because not trying to fit it in before the Revenge of the Sith opens up a lot of doors and makes a lot of things possible. And Master, you're right. It doesn't have to be season 2 of Bad Batch. You could finish this and Hunter and Omega could be together and go off on adventures, and the others could go join the rebellion and become soldiers for them, right? I mean, anything like that could happen. You could either turn Crosshair back, or you could kill him off right there, right? I mean, there's a lot of different angles and avenues they could go with this.
Mhm.
Good. Well, go ahead.
So I looked up the Foundation just now, and it says collectively they tell the early story of the Foundation, an institute founded by psychohistorian Han Seldon to preserve the best of the galactic civilization after the collapse of the Galactic Empire.
Holy crap.
Right?
I'll see. Now I'm going to have to go look that up.
All right. So the books came out in 1951.
Okay.
The first did.
And like I said, from the article I saw today, it looks like Apple TV has the rights, making the stories, all that kind of stuff. So just like Netflix wanted to compete with Marvel and DC by creating Jupiter's Legacy and not being tied down to either Marvel or DC, looks like Apple TV said, we want to get in the science fiction game, and we don't want to have to be bothered with Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica or Flash Gordon or whatever. So, Mass, good research work there. Alfie, great, both of you. What was it again? Xanadu Blood?
Blood. Yeah.
See, now I'm going to be
Like I
singing
say,
that
I only
song.
know that because that's a ship on my Star Wars game. That's Cad Bane's ship.
So there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, if nothing else tonight's episode of Rule the Galaxy, you've learned about Xanadu's blood and what's his new ship?
The Justifier.
The Justifier. Cad Bane. Xanadu's blood, Justifier. Those are his ships. And we've learned that Han Seldon takes a group away from the Galactic Empire in The Foundation by Isaac Asimov. And I don't know, maybe George read those books. I don't know.
What it sounds like.
Might need to go check on some copyright stuff there. Well, it's not his worry anymore. It's Disney's. They can worry about that. It's just like the guy who said he's the one who wrote Coming to America and Eddie Murphy stole it from him. There you go. So,
same with the Terminator.
Really?
Yeah, there's a book. Sorry I even brought it up because I cannot remember the name of the book. But if you read it, it is so much like the first Terminator book.
That lady that sued the Wojciechowski brothers over the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like she wrote a story that is almost identical, and she claims they stole it. And she won millions of dollars for that.
Guys, we need to just start writing stuff down right now. Just write down ideas, post some little snippets about them somewhere, and see if somebody writes what we did. I mean, come on. We're not moving to Hollywood. We're not going to be making movies out there, as far as I know. Maybe we'll do that. Anything else for you guys? It's not a long show tonight. Anything else you guys want to hit on before we head out? I thought you know what? I'm really excited about Foundation in Xanadu's blood right now. So I learned something tonight. So we're going to get together soon as Rule the Galaxy and have a get together. So that's good. I know DDoc42 is going to come on and be a guest very soon. I told him because he made this awesome sign, he needs to come on and talk. And he said he'll do that.
That thing looks great back there, by the way.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. We might have to make orders for you guys to have these as well. But we'll do that, and then let's behind the scenes start planning that 2022 Midwest Star Wars celebration, and we won't even have to call it that. No infringement. Just how about a Midwest science fiction, gathering? There we go. That's all I got.
Hold it at the convention center like the cosplay thing.
There we go. Like Gen Con and all that stuff. Yes. Comic Con's down there. Alfie, what you got?
1957 short story, Soldier for Tomorrow. The author and Orion Pictures settled for an undisclosed amount of money.
1957.
Was that the Terminator?
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, Rule the Galaxy is here to educate. That's all.
Yeah.
We're just here.
Sorry, I couldn't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah, like you're supposed to. 1957. You weren't born for another almost 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Yeah, 20 years. So you know what, guys? We'll keep it at that. It was a fun show. Thank you for putting up with us just rambling and going on a bunch of different topics. We'll come back next week with even bigger and better stuff. We'll see who our guests are going to be for next week. I think we'll have less people missing. We'll have some different people in with us being co-hosts next week. Maybe I'll just take the week off and let you guys host it. It's 4th of July week next week.
I have a hard enough time talking with you talking. I couldn't do it on my own.
All right. So, hey, for Alfie, for Joe, thanks again for listening. Episode 88, Rule the Galaxy. You know where to track us down. You know where to follow us. Rule the Galaxy, SW at gmail.com for emails. Send us those ideas about that regional Midwest science fiction gathering. And Twitter, Rule the Galaxy, SW. Give us a follow. And you know what? Episode 89 will be right around the corner. Until next week, may the Force be with you.